Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this overview on invoicing your CalAPP grant. My name is Adam Van Winkle, and I'm with the California Energy Commission unit that administers this program. Here's a quick overview of today's topics. This should take about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll focus on how to invoice your CalAPP grant, followed by a Q&A session. Only jurisdictions that were awarded a CalAPP grant will be eligible for invoicing at this time. This is not a new funding opportunity. Please remember the liquidation deadline for CalAPP is June 30, 2027. Submit all invoices by April 30, 2027 at the latest to allow for adequate processing time. These sessions are a chance to ask questions, gain some guidance on submitting your CalAPP invoice. Also, please visit our CalAPP webpage for more info and answers to some of your questions. The CalAPP program awarded 346 jurisdictions for a total of almost $19 million. To date, the program has invoiced about 4.3 million of those funds from 183 total invoices. Many jurisdictions still haven't invoiced their grants, which is why we're holding these office hours. The invoicing process is relatively simple. First, you will need to determine your expenses that are eligible for reimbursement. We cover that in more detail on the next slide. Next, complete the forms and submit them to the CEC. A how-to video is available on the CalAPP webpage. Be sure to include paid receipts for both material and miss and all other cost categories. Then the CEC will either approve the submission or request edits. If edits are needed, we will email you with that request. Once the invoice package is approved, a payment is processed and sent to the jurisdiction. This can take up to about 8 weeks. Please note that each jurisdiction can submit more than one invoice or until the grant funds have been exhausted. Here is an overview of what we can and cannot reimburse. A complete list can be found in our solicitation manual. We expect most applicants to use funding to reimburse staff time spent integrating a permitting platform. For CalAPP Plus or Symbian users, this includes work done with those teams during integration. Funds can also cover training and education for staff and local installers. The key point for unallowable expenses is that we cannot reimburse any activities that occurred before the grant was officially executed. Only activities performed after the execution date are eligible for payment. If your jurisdiction already uses a platform like CalAPP Plus or Symbian, some costs may still be reimbursable. For example, we can fund maintenance such as adding support for energy storage related permitting. Here are the 3 forms you will need to submit with your invoice. If you don't have the forms, just let us know and we can send them to you. The first is the invoice template with the amounts. The second is the supporting document form with the breakdown of the amounts. And the third is the self-certification form. When you complete these, you can email these forms to us. If there are any errors on the forms, we'll simply request those corrections. After the original grant award was executed, the CEC sent this exact email to each jurisdiction for the next steps to take. That email included the forms you will need to invoice your grant. If you can't find it, no worries. Just let us know and we'll resend the forms. This is a tutorial video on our website. It explains how to complete the 3 forms and submit your invoice package. We encourage you to watch it first, as it may answer some of your questions. Now we'd like to move into our questions and answers segment of this office hour. This is a chance to ask any questions you might have about submitting an invoice. The purpose here is to develop a helpful dialogue. All questions are welcome. We will do our best to get those answered. For more complicated issues, we may need some more time to get back to you via email. Our goal is to approve at least 14 million in invoicing funding that is still remaining in the program. If there are no questions at this time, we're going to play the video from the previous slide. Hello, welcome to the California Energy Commission's walkthrough on how to submit an invoice to the CalAPP program as a grant awardee. We'll review 3 forms needed for submission. These forms were previously emailed to CalAPP awardees. The first is the invoice template, the second is the supporting document workbook, and the third is the self-certification form. The first form is the invoice template, which is only 1 page. Here at the top, you will include your agreement number, invoice number, which is your agreement number with an added -01 or 02, the invoice date, and the period covered by request dates. The beginning date of the period covered by request cannot be before your executed CalAPP agreement date. Next, the middle of the form will include the costs you are requesting to have reimbursed. You can choose to use one or all of the categories. The total to be paid cannot exceed the remaining balance or the total amount of the CalAPP award. Contact the CEC if you need to verify the grant balance. Have this form signed and dated by an authorized representative of the jurisdiction. The next form to complete is the invoice supporting documentation form. Please review the instructions tab for key points. There are 3 tabs for cost inputs corresponding to the 3 categories on the first form: direct labor, materials and miss, and all other costs. Some allowable costs are ongoing staff labor associated directly with the adoption and/or maintenance of a platform, third-party consulting costs, essential hardware costs, and up to 3 years of paid subscription fees. The categories and amounts must match the invoice template form. There's an important note here. The CEC will need copies of paid receipts for costs associated with the categories of materials and miss or all other costs. Please attach them to your invoice submission. The third form to complete is the self-certification form. Here you will indicate which automated online permitting software has been fully adopted by the jurisdiction. Next, you will certify that the platform is eligible for reimbursement and that all reimbursement activities have occurred within the grant term. Note here, CalAPP Plus and Symbian are eligible. A custom platform will need further verification by the CEC. An electronic or wet signature are both okay. If you need these forms, let us know by emailing calapp@energy.ca.gov and we'll send them to you. Thank you for following along. We hope this demonstration helps in the submission process. Please email the forms or any questions to us at calapp@energy.ca.gov when completed. There is also useful info on our website. Here are some key reference points. Remember, all funds must be liquidated by June 30th, 2027. We highly recommend that you submit your invoices as soon as possible to avoid any processing delays. Submit no later than April 30th, 2027 to allow for enough time for the CEC to process your invoice submission. Remember, invoices cannot be paid after June 30, 2027. CalAPP webpage is a great reference point. You can find the original solicitation, answers to common questions, and a tutorial video on how to invoice. Please note the webpage does not have the invoicing forms. Contact us at the email here if you need those forms or if you have any other questions. Thank you for your time. That concludes our overview of invoicing the CalAPP grant. We do have future office hour dates for your reference.